How's it going out there, guys? Monster Chappie, and we're back looking at the Just Read offensive scheme, San Fran ebook, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to continue where we left off. We kind of talked about the depth charts and things like that. And we first broke into this wide trail, which is the base play of the scheme. I run this play for a good majority of the game, all game if they don't, make adjustments to slow it down. And we talked about our hot routes being, pretty much whatever you want with this guy on the left, the solo wide receiver. I call him the abuser, and the reason is because if he gets any sort of one-on-one defense, you need to be able to get him the ball. And the reason for that is because if they start sending zone blitzes, man blitzes, he needs to basically punish the defense. This is, Calvin Johnson, Kobe Bryant, whoever you want to call this, that guy you can't stop one-on-one. That is that guy. So make sure you got a stud there. Now, against zone, I like to use the exact same hot routes. And the reason being is because, again, I like to have plays that it works against both man and zone. That way, if they try to confuse you or anything like that, you still have the same look. And you still have basically the same guys doing the same things. It's just a matter of just adjusting your reads just a little bit. For the most part, the reads are going to be the same. Now, say, they're running like a cover 3 like this, and then they start blitzing over here, something like this. If they start sending those zone blitzes, that's when you got to just be on the lookout and go ahead and get the ball out to your halfback. So don't think just because they run a cover 3 or cover 2 or something like that, that your flat quick pass to the running back won't be open. Don't automatically assume that, because a lot of times if they send a man blitz or a zone blitz, he will actually end up getting open. Now, the next thing I want to point out is if they run zone max coverage, for whatever reason, they just decide they want to run a zone max coverage D. Make sure this is on all Madden here. Probably isn't. Okay. Bam, bam, bam. All right. So now that we got the settings right. So if they run a max coverage defense, a lot of the times, one of the best routes against zone max coverage is the wheel, especially from the halfback position, because if you got anything going deep and you have him on the wheel, he's just going to be wide open downfield. So it's something they're either going to have to use her deep downfield, which should open up something else. If not, regardless of the zone that's over there, it will eventually get open, and then this slot wide receiver in the middle is actually going to take that away, take away any deep defender. So basically that is going to be, the running back is going to beat the blitz, and he's also going to beat max coverage as one of our primary reads. Now, the next guy I want to look at is Graham doing a trail route. Now, you can make a pretty quick pass there. I don't like it too much, but sometimes you can make that quick pass there. A lot of times, though, that pass is going to be there if, say, they start sending a zone blitz. Maybe a look like this, possibly. And then you're going to want to go ahead and get that guy right there. And if you can make that pass and really just perfect your reads just on this play, you could run this play all game versus theoretically just about any kind of defense. But getting those reads perfect is very, very difficult to do. Even I struggle with it sometimes, which is why I'll throw a pick or I'll get a sack here and there or stuff like that. So, even me, I'm still working on my reads at all times. So, theoretically, you could run this offense better than me if your reads are better than mine. Now, again, against zone, we got this streak. Now, we're not typically going to just lob it over the top how we did before, unless maybe they use them or unless they got, they don't have a deep blue. But for the most part, what we're going to look for here is a pass lead, typically down and in, or maybe to the outside, depending on where the defenders are. I probably wouldn't go outside against the cover 3 because you got that corner there, and you really just don't know what's going to happen. That's kind of a 50-50 ball. Definitely not going to rely on that over the course of the game. That's one thing you want to stay away from building your offense on, is those 50-50 balls. So like last year, the face throw wasn't a 50-50 ball. You can get that a majority of the time. But this year, that face throw animation we just got, the next time it could be a pick. So honestly, that's not something you're going to want to build your offense on at all. And so typically it's going to be the inside guy. Now, one thing people will tend to do is user him. So watch out for that. But The next one I'm going to talk about again is Graham. And one of the bad things you can do with Mr. Graham, and one of the things I've done a ton of times, so trust me when I say you don't want to make this mistake. But what people will do and what I will do is actually I'll look at Dent or whoever this hook zone is over here, and I'll actually just wait. And I'll continue to wait because I got a lot of time in the pocket, and I'll just assume he's going to get open downfield. And as you can see, that hook is actually going to stay with him due to this route combination. So you have to make sure you don't force that pass unless he clearly gets open. Sometimes he will clear that defender and be wide open near the sideline, and if that happens, you can hit him. But if that defender is continuing to move with him, don't assume that defender is going to stop because he's in the zone, because he will continue to run with them, and majority of the time he's going to pick it off. So that's one mistake I've made enough times. Learn from my mistake before you make it. One of those situations. But definitely, again, we can definitely hit Graham in between zones and things like that. Don't want to force it in there if you don't have to, but you can definitely get a pass between the two zones. Just kind of wait on it and hit it right in the middle of the two. And you should be decently, happy with the gain like that, especially from a stud like Graham. So now we've looked at the halfback, we've looked at Graham, and we've kind of looked at that streak from the slot wide receiver in the middle. Now we're going to go ahead and look at this drag. Now against zone, I'd never do that motion snap. I just leave him there and hike it. And what you can do is just get a real quick pass here. Now, as you've seen there, that lineman jumped up. So you want to watch out for those linemen, especially on a critical down. Like if it's 1st and 10, 2nd and 10, that's not really going to be a big deal. You'll just move on to 3rd and 10 or 2nd and 10 or whatever the case may be. But if, say, it's a 3rd and 4 or 4th and 3, you're going to be a little bit more careful with this, because if you're not and that pass gets swatted down, you're going to either turn it over or you're going to put yourself in a 4th and 4 or 4th and short or whatever the case may be. And that's definitely not something you want to do. You want to avoid 4th downs as much as possible. So when you can, make sure you get the 1st downs whenever you can. But you can always hit them for like a quick short pass right here. Maybe get 3 to 4 yards. And it doesn't seem like much. But depending on what they do, if they blitz from the left side here, do something like this, then in that case, you might be able to get a few more yards and just kind of use that speed to the outside and, be able to take advantage that way. So, again, if they're blitzing, these quick passes are going to be critical. Now, another quick pass that's kind of critical, say they do something like this and they blitz from the right, again, it's going to be that grand pass. I don't know, I may have covered this already, but again, that pass is going to be critical against the blitz because that's what's going to slow the blitz down. Now, last but certainly not least is our beast on the left side. And again, we want our stud McMuffin there. We want the Calvins, the big guys, the Colstons, the Knicks, the whoever. Whoever can really put the defense in a pickle. And again, we can put them on a streak or we can put them on a fade, especially against zone. Because with that fade against cover 3, this inside pass lead or down and in is just money every time. You're definitely going to want to add that route to your arsenal, whatever offense you're running. And also, you can do a streak with the inside pass lead, which works, but it's not as consistent as the fade. But the one nice thing about the streak is if they are in, say, a hook zone to stop a curl or something, you could just lob it over the top. So each play has it. Each route has its advantages and disadvantages. Likewise, if they're blitzing from this left side, you can go ahead and just get the 10 and out going over here for the quick pickup. So you really got to be careful, though, because a lot of times if a guy does blitz, they'll do something like this and put him in a hook. And then if you go for that 10 and out, I mean, it's that 50-50 ball again. Sometimes you'll get that, as we did there. But over the course of the game, if you keep making that pass against that hook zone, and they keep, you just keep throwing that pass, eventually Samuel should play it right and eventually pick it off. So it's not something you're going to want to live off of. But as I said before, if they do something like that, that is kind of the benefit of the streak. Because if you just watch Samuel, you can tell he's still backpedaling. You can actually lob it over the top once he gets past the defender, and it'll basically be able to get that good separation. Now, Colston's real slow. And Samuel's not So he's making up a little bit of ground. But as you can see, once he gets like even with him, you can just lob it over the top for an easy pass. That first time he actually was just stuck on Samuel, so that put him in perfect position to defend it. But again, if you can just make those reads and continue to make somewhat the same reads as before, you can definitely get some real big plays and definitely be very safe against any kind of defense that you can see. Now, the last thing we're going to add to this, just for quick audibles for the run, one run is this halfback sweep here. Now, the only time I'll really run this is if I see I got numbers, they start running max coverage, things like that. Typically what I look for is if they don't have like, see if there's defenders here that kind of bothers me a little bit, and I probably won't run it. But if I see they're running a cover 3 as he is here, I'll continue to run the play. But this is the reason why I never run that play if I see this extra defender right here, is because as you've seen in that example, the tackle is actually going to pick up the defensive end, and then that's going to pretty much leave you one-on-one with that guy. And although that's not a terrible matchup, you still got the DN that can block shed. You still got that linebacker. I definitely, when I run, I want to at least have positive yards before I run into the first defender. So say if Robinson was here, then I would definitely run this and probably be a lot better off. But again, I only want to run this play when I have the advantage, and I'm getting some real bad examples here. Of course, I'm getting some terrible examples for you guys doing it live. But if that defender isn't there on the outside left, you can go ahead and take advantage there. Now, one of our audibles is actually the halfback counter out of this formation. So the gun strong halfback counter. And this play is very nice because it just gets some amazing blocking. Those halfback counters out of the gun are just really nice. So if they were running a defense like this, you could definitely just run the counter, and that's the run I would go to. Now, once they start expecting that counter or whatever, and they start overloading that right side because you've been tearing them up with it, that's typically when things are going to open up. So when they start running this defender over here to stop the counter, that's when you can go ahead and go with the sweep. And it's just kind of a two-play thing. Pretty much anybody that uses this formation, anybody you've seen use this formation is going to use this concept if they're, heavily using this formation as I do. So, basically anybody that uses this formation, you've seen this before. You use the counter, use the sweep together. And it's definitely a nice two-play combo to complement the pass. So if they really start overloading on the pass, you can just start hitting them with the run. And this is the reason you may want a guy like Gore or somebody that can really hold on to the ball, because if they're really committing to the pass, that's when you can take advantage with them. Also, these runs are pretty good against some blitzes. So depending on which blitz they're doing, it could be actually ideal for you to go ahead and go for a run versus trying to force the pass, just depending on the blitz they're doing. I know I had a lot of success against 4-6 blitz. There was a couple other blitzes I came across that the runs were actually very effective. And at first I didn't think the run would be that effective, but it actually ended up being the best thing for the offense and getting us the most amount of yards and really pressuring my opponent to change up his defensive strategy. So that is pretty much going to wrap up the base play and the two runs out of it. Now, the other plays I like to run out of this are the PA wide receiver in. And then, obviously this is the quick audible here. Or not quick audible, but our user audible halfback counter. That's one I use. I also use halfback slip screen as an audible. And then our quick audible is the halfback sweep. So those are the plays I will use out of this formation. I really don't use too much else. I just want to keep it as simple as possible. So I'll just go ahead and show you guys what the audibles will look like. This is the quick pass. It's the run. Deep passes, verticals. I actually will run this verticals or Durham, whatever they call it in this formation once in a while, and the play action. So the three quick audibles I use are the run, deep pass, and play action. I come out in the trail, and then I have halfback slip screen as an audible, as well as the halfback counter. And between all of that, we have a total of 6 plays in this formation 1 being our base play, 2 being user audibles, and 3 being quick audibles that we can use at any time. And we've covered 3 of the plays. Now we just got to cover the remaining 3. So be sure to stick around for the next video. We'll cover those next 3 plays. Not too much to them. Got some similar ideas. You know, basic stuff from the verticals. Basic stuff here with the wheels and whatnot. And then with the screen, I'll show you guys how I like to run those sometimes. And we can have a lot of success there. But till the next time, guys, be on the lookout for the rest of the Just Read offensive scheme, aka my San Fran ebook. And definitely this is something I would charge for. But again, I appreciate the 10K subs and the support. So if you guys do enjoy this, go ahead and leave a thumbs up. And be sure to subscribe for more, and I will try to help you guys out as best as I can to continue to progress in your game and love for the game of Madden football. So till the next time, we gone.